topic is about the relativity of norms. In this topic, we will tackle about what is the definition of relativity, definition of norms, definition of relativity of norms as a whole, and the inter-test comparison.
So let's start our discussion. First, let's define what is relativity. According to Merriam's dictionary, relativity is a state of being dependent for existence on, or determined in nature, value, or quality by relation to something else. For short, relativity is a quality or state of being relative. Second is the definition of norms. Norms are the unwritten but understood rules of the society of culture for the behavior that are considered acceptable and expected. In short, it is normal. The third one is definition of relativity of norm. Relativity of norm is a concept regarding normative scores and how they differ when compared between different groups. For example, Jackson takes a standardized test which is scored on a normative scale. He scored in the 80th percentile nationally, which means he did better than 80% of all students who took the test nationwide. 85th percentile locally, which means he did better than 85% of the students who took the test in the school system. And the 55th percentile of applicants to a prestigious university. He did better than 55% of the students that applied to that school.
These are all normative scores, but they differ between the groups. Relativity of norms is a concept of determining which group is most relevant to what information you want. If the information most important is how the student compared to others in their area, then the local scores would be used. If the students want to attend the prestigious university, then those scores would be more important. This concept just addresses how normative scores can be different and how the same score can be viewed differently depending on which sample is looked at.
Inter-test comparisons. An IQ or any other score should always be accompanied by the name of the test on which it was obtained. Test scores cannot be properly interpreted in the abstract. They must be referred to particular tests.
For example, if the school records show that Jebom received an IQ of 94 and Mark have an IQ of 110, such IQ cannot be accepted at the face value without further information. The position of these two students might have been reversed by exchanging the particular test that each has given in his respective school.
Similarly, an individual's relative standing in different functions may be grossly misrepresented through lack of comparativity of test norms. Let us suppose that a student has been given a verbal comprehension test and a spatial aptitude test to determine his relative standing in these two fields. But the verbal ability test was standardized on a random sample of high school students, while the spatial test was standardized on a selected group of students attending elective shop courses. The examiner might erroneously conclude that the individual is much more able along verbal than along spatial lines, and the reverse may actually be the case.
There are three principal reasons to account for systematic variation among the scores obtained by the same individual on different tests. First, tests may differ in content despite their similar labels. So-called intelligence tests provide an illustration of this confusion. Although commonly described by the same blanket term, one of these tests may include only verbal content, another may tap predominantly spatial aptitudes, and still another may cover verbal, numerical, and spatial content in about equal proportions. Second, the skill units may not be comparable. As explained earlier in this chapter, if IQs on one test have a standard deviation of 12 and IQs on another have a standard deviation of 18, then an individual who receives an IQ of 112 on this first test is most likely to receive an IQ of 118 on the second. Third, the composition of the standardization sample used in establishing one for different tests may vary. Obviously, the same individual will appear to have performed better when compared with a less able group than when compared with a more able group. Lack of comparability of their test content or skill units can usually be detected by reference of the test itself or to the test manual. Difference in test respective normative samples, however, are more likely to be overlooked. Such difference probably account for many otherwise unexplained discrepancy in test results.